Hello again. A little while ago I reviewed a small desiccant dehumidifier by Toyotomi, and I was so impressed by it I decided to take a look at its bigger brother, the 12.5 litre version, and here it is. Although larger than the 9 litre model, it is actually still very modern and compact for a whole house dehumidifier. So clearly, for its size and power, this is still going to look sleek and elegant wherever you place it in the home. Now let's take a look at the control panel. Again, the design is clean, easy to use and has no garish colours. And the functions are as follows: on and off. Auto dry has 3 basic modes. Auto, just as the name implies, is automatic and switches between high and low fan speed whilst maintaining an ideal relative humidity of 45 to 50%. Low speed simply sets the fan to its lowest speed setting, again maintaining 45 to 50% relative humidity. And this is the most used setting when any sort of problem that you may have is out of the way, or it's often used during the evenings. High speed is super dry mode, and the dehumidifier will work at full speed and power, as well as setting the lowest target humidity of 35 to 40% relative humidity. The laundry mode has 2 functions. Power saving automatically alters the air and switches between heated and unheated depending on the temperature of your room to save energy. Turbo mode, however, heats the air for faster drying, which is very useful in cold rooms or when you have a lot of clothing to dry. The swing position of the louvers has 3 basic movements: a wide or complete sweep, a front facing sweep, or an upwards direction. And finally, you can lock in an angle of your choice by pressing this button here one more time so that no lights are lit. The airflow blades can be adjusted between spot and wide by manually setting them. The automatic timer can also be set simply by cycling through the options for 2, 4 or 8 hours. And when no lights are lit, continuous on mode is activated. In weight terms, at 8.2 kilos or just over 3.5 bags of sugar, it's still quite portable thanks to the sturdy inbuilt carrying handle. As for power consumption, the manufacturer states 400 watts for low power mode and 740 watts for high power. The 400 watt figure is pretty much par for the course with a dehumidifier of this size, whilst the high power mode at 740 watts is only about 40 watts or so higher than like-for-like competitive brands, and it's how effective it can be with this extra power that's important, and you'll see that in a bit when I test it. The vast majority of people will, however, use the low power mode nearly all of the time. I always say though, don't worry about the power consumption too much, because what you don't see, especially with a desiccant dehumidifier like this, is the significant contribution that it makes to your heating bills by not only making your home drier and easier to heat, but they actually contribute to the heating too. Like a lot of the very best dehumidifiers these days, this unit also boasts a built-in energy saving algorithm when in use, and a standby mode of only 1 watt, so whether it's on or off, power consumption is kept as low as possible. Thanks to the onboard humidistat, which apart from maintaining healthy and recommended humidity levels in the home, also stops any over-drying of the air, and therefore wasting power. As far as noise levels go, this dehumidifier is factory rated at 48 decibels, which on paper is a little higher than the average 44 to 46 decibels from the competition. I say on paper because in real life, often what you hear with your ears doesn't match the decibel rating. Here I've placed this 48 decibel Toyotomi next to a 46 decibel Miko, and I'm going to switch them on. Have a listen. Because this is a desiccant dehumidifier, it has a very wide operating temperature range, from as little as 1 to 40 degrees centigrade, so it's great for running in colder locations or in cooler homes, not only tackling damp and condensation but also contributing to heating too. From a moisture extraction point of view, it's rated at a maximum of 11 litres or just over 24 pints per day, and the inbuilt water tank holds 3.8 litres or roughly 6.5 pints of water at a time. This should mean it'll need emptying around once per day for most people when any initial problem is under control, although there is a continuous drain pipe underneath this tab here if you need it. Although not the easiest, water levels can be checked at a glance by looking through this port, as long as you get on your hands and knees that is, but it will automatically switch off anyway when full and indicate the warning light on the control panel. The water collection tray is easily pulled out like this and has an anti-spill lid and a handle for tipping the water away. Of course, wherever you get a fan, you normally get a filter, and this is no exception. Simply pull out the filter from the rear and any dust can then be gently vacuumed or cleaned away with warm water. The long-lasting filter is also antibacterial in nature, so not only does it filter out the larger airborne particles, but it also kills bacteria too. Okay, so let's move on to the real-world tests. Now, I won't bore you with the details of the test environment, but for those of you who are interested, you can find a link to a detailed explanation on my website via the links in the description bar, the iCards, or at the end of the video. I'm now going to run two simple tests. Test 1 will be a 2-hour run on the standard low power mode. Test 2 will be another 2-hour run on the high speed mode. At the end of each test, any water collected will be measured and the drop in humidity noted. The humidity in the lounge now is 67% and the temperature is 21 degrees centigrade. All we have to do now is wait 2 hours. It's the halfway stage now. Let's take this opportunity to measure the wind speed and air temperature emitted from the exhaust. But before we do, the lounge temperature is now 21 degrees C and the humidity is down to 57%. And if I just move this wind speed and temperature gauge close to the exhaust, you can see that the airspeed at close range is a brisk 10 miles per hour and the temperature is 25.5 degrees C. That's 4.5 degrees warmer than the lounge at close range. Now, I must just mention at this time that the exhaust temperature has been warmer than this, but the exhaust heat is controlled by the dehumidifier for economy reasons, so it's not always a static temperature. In visual terms, if I hold this tassel scarf in the path of the exhaust, it looks like this, which is a very nice even distribution of air. Okay, the full 2 hours is over now, and as you can see the humidity is now down to 53% and the temperature in the lounge has hardly changed at a pleasant 20.8 degrees C or nearly 21 degrees. Let's see what we've collected. So that's 490 millilitres or 0.8 of a pint, which is a pretty good result for a 2-hour run. So let's move on to test number 2, the high speed test. But before we do, the first thing to talk about is just how powerful the fan is on this setting. Have a listen. As you could hear, high power mode is exactly that, which I suspect will be very good for drying any laundry or making inroads into serious problems. So let's put it to the test. Time for 2 hours on high speed. So on goes the dehumidifier for the last 2 hours on high power mode. As you can see, the humidity is back up to 64% and the temperature is just over 20 degrees C. Well, we're halfway in again and the humidity is already down to 45%, whilst the temperature is hovering around 21 degrees C. and if we bring the airspeed and temperature gauge in, you can see that it's nearly touching 15 miles per hour at the strongest point and not dipping below 12 miles per hour at the weakest. The tasseled scarf pretty much paints the same impressive picture. It really does have some force, which is obviously going to be great news for air circulation. Well, the full 2 hours is now over and the humidity is now down to an incredibly low 40% in this short space of time, whilst the temperature has risen slightly to a pleasant and stable 21 degrees C. Let's see what we've collected. Well, that's filled the jug to a full 1 litre. Let's empty it and carry on. There you go, an extra half a litre, which is 1.5 litres in total, or well over 2.5 pints of moisture pulled straight from the air in only 2 hours. Very impressive indeed. So, on summing up, what you have in this dehumidifier is quite a sleek design given its size and power. You have an efficient low speed mode and a true, no messing about, high power mode for when you need it. And just like its smaller 9 litre brother, this model has cooling cycles programmed in, which not only periodically cools the heater as a clever safety feature, but it also protects and therefore lengthens the lifespan of the dehumidifier long term. Well, that brings this video to an end, and if you're interested in buying one of these units, or you just want to browse the instruction manual, visit the link here, the iCard, or see the links in the description bar. I hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching.